Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. Mike Messier here. We're going to have a very special full gear post show match by match analysis. Now, I'm going to admit there's one match I have no opinion on right now, and I'll explain why when we get to that particular match. I may have a guest here tonight if he's able to make it. A friend of mine was at Full Gear. Also, this is the debut. This is a Mike's Meals AEW post show JR's seasoning, family barbecue, all purpose seasoning. We're going to put that on this beautiful late night sandwich, this Wawa cheesesteak, folks. Thanks to my buddy Adam Demoy, who presented me with this JR's seasoning, treating me better than the real JR did when I met him in person years ago, Mohegan's son. The seasoning, I haven't really tasted it yet, but let's talk about this AEW show, folks. Comments are welcome. So if you have a comment, put it in there. I'll do the overall first. Overall, I thought it was a great fucking show. I don't know how you could have watched this show and not think it was a great show. I mean, unless you really hate watching AEW, but if you paid $49.99 to watch it, or if you went to a movie theater like I did for $24.99, and the movie theater experience was good tonight with a couple of faux pas. I'll get into that. But I think it was a great show. I'm interested to see if my friend comes in, the guy that was there in person, if he's able to make it tonight. He was trying to get an Uber back to his hotel so he could join us on this broadcast. If any of you watching happen to be there, or if you saw the show on pay-per-view through Bleacher Report or Facebook or whatever, I'm kind of curious how that Facebook went. The movie theater experience is interesting. I had probably the perfect seat. Row C, far left. My view of the screen was great. I had an empty seat next to me, and then a bunch of guys in the row. Really kind of interesting from this perspective. The empty seat next to me, and then the guy in the next seat was probably 25 years old, maybe 30. He seemed to be a pretty informed wrestling fan who had never seen AEW before. Now, that might be a contradiction. Like, he kind of had heard about AEW, but he never sat down and watched it. He sounded like a lapsed fan. And his friends, I think, brought him in there. Maybe they're, following the guidance of Tony Khan. They brought him in there to show him what AEW is all about. And of course, I listened to some of their commentary, and they botched some facts. They said that All In was a Ring of Honor show, and they botched some of the particulars, which always pisses me off, because then I feel like I have to interrupt and correct everybody, because that's what I do. But I didn't, because these guys were strangers. So we get to the fucking... Now, the ticket said 7. I thought the show was at 8. I get there like 6:55. Of course, there's other assholes in the movie theater going to see movies. This is in Jacksonville, Florida, by the way, the home of AEW. Interesting. I'm at this Wawa gas station. There's a girl who looks like kind of like a more attractive Bertha Faye from WWF 1995. I guess she went clubbing. I have to chew. Good barbecue sandwich. For the portion of the show that's the Mike's food review, I'm really piling on the seasoning, Adam, because I think I got to add more seasoning to really taste the seasoning. Okay, get to the movie theater. I get in there like 6:57. I put my jacket down. I have other particulars I put down on the seat. Coat on the chair. That means somebody's there. I brought this coat. I put it down. This is the infamous AC/DC coat. I put it down because I don't want people sitting in my seat. I know what people are like. They'll take your chair sometimes. So then I go get a drink. It's taking forever. I finally get back. And like suddenly the preview show is on. The 30 minutes of hype. And there are these other guys sitting there. And I'd say by the end of the night, the theater was pretty full, except the first 2 rows in the handicap row. So I want to say like 40 guys, maybe 50 were in the theater tonight. I think I saw a total of about 3 women in there. An ethnically diverse crowd, which was nice. AEW is reaching to all people. Here's where our problems began. The pre-show's going on. Opening match. I predicted that the women would win, meaning the women on Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa. They did win. I did predict that there would be like some type of falling out between the partners of Nyla Rose and what's her name? But there was Jamie Hayter, but there wasn't. It was actually a really good opening match. And before that, I should mention, it was that high flying guy, Martin, Daphne Martin, whatever his name is. I mean, it was good. It was good. His high flying move, when he attacked the guys, the Acclaim, was pretty good. I did want to make mention that AEW roster is so deep now. You have a lot of people that are quite good in AEW that weren't. Thank you, Bob. Bob's checking in. Thanks, buddy. Felt like I was in a vacuum here, buddy. Dante Martin. Yeah. What'd you think? I thought his little pre-show deal was pretty cool. I thought that was good. It was a nice hometown boy thing. I do like how AEW kind of tailorizes their shows to the local market that they're in. And you know, I want to challenge myself a little bit, Bob. I'm going to try and just judge this show without comparing it to another wrestling company. How about that? I'm just going to judge it by what it is. So when AEW goes to a town, and they typically go to a state, especially in this worldwide situation, they go to an area and they'll do 2, 3, 4 shows in that area. I think we saw a couple of months ago, they did like 4 shows in Chicago in like 2 weeks. But here, they're in Minnesota. You know, we saw later on the Baron Von Raschke gimmick. But I just kind of like how they regionalize their stuff sometimes. To me, that's the old school wrestling way. I'm going to blow my nose off camera. Out of respect. I actually respect my audience, which I think AEW does as well, which is why I like AEW. So we move forth. This women's tag was pretty fun. I mean, I think it did what a pre-show match should do. It should intrigue the casual fan who might be fencing it. You know, am I going to order the show or not? And then they see this match and hey, the crowd's pretty hot. The match was good. I think sometimes a mistake AEW has done in the past is they've done gimmick matches, especially like the Casino Battle Royals and stuff like that on their pre-shows. And, you know, I don't know if that's the best. A gimmick match on a pre-show. Gimmick match, for those of you that don't know, is like a comedy match or a ha-ha match or a match with some goofy stipulations or a multiple person tag or a goofy stipulation match. So they didn't do that here. They had like a nice women's match. Here we go. Bob's kicking in. Dude, long story short, this pay-per-view was the best thing I've seen in years. But let alone this company is the best thing going on right now in professional wrestling today. Period. PS Cowboy shit. Well, we do know that we have a new AEW World Champion. Bob seems pretty excited about that. I guess I'm kind of excited because I think it's good that we have some interesting things. We have Cowboy versus Bryan Danielson, which, as long as they don't swerve us on that, which AEW typically doesn't do, I think that's very intriguing, Bob. That because I was predicting Bryan Danielson to win, to lose, actually. I thought we'd see Miro versus Hangman. Okay, so then we go into the actual show. Our first match was an interesting one. Now, here's where the movie theater kind of screwed up. The pay-per-view is starting, and of course, the fucking, the show is not on the fucking screen, is what it comes down to. So you have like 50 guys in the movie theater all groaning and pissing because they can't see the goddamn matches. And of course, who's the one who stands up and goes and translates to the fucking movie theater workers? This guy, because I just realized, Bob, in my years on this earth, that I have to be like the protector and the guardian of all things, because of the 50 assholes in the movie theater, 49 would just sit there and look at a blank screen after paying $25, and one person has the intelligence and the gumption to stand up and go talk to the fucking movie people, and that's me. So that's what I do, and these assholes in the theater don't thank me. You know what I mean? But I fucking go, I do my thing, I come back, and we have the fucking pay-per-view. So MJF is already in the ring. I didn't see if MJF had an interesting entrance. I usually like MJF's song quite a bit. In this match, it was good. It was really good, actually. Now you could see that MJF and Darby kind of broke into the Will Ospreay and Ricochet thing. Was it Will Ospreay and Ricochet a couple of years ago, or Will Ospreay and somebody else? Like they did some Japanese match where it was like very choreographed, and people had mixed feelings about it. Some people thought it was great. Some people thought it was horrible. But it seemed like Darby and MJF obviously got together, worked these spots out. They had a sequence. And I think that's one of those divisive things. A guy like Cornette will cry in his pants about it. I can tolerate it because at the end of the sequence, MJF kind of shot him a hard look, and they still looked like they were trying to hurt each other in the sequence. So there you go. I was hoping Darby would win this thing. I am super pumped for Jay Lethal and Sammy Guerrero Wednesday night for the TNT Championship. That's right, Bob. We'll get there, brother. I thought it was a really strong match to start the show, and I actually did grades for these matches. I gave the women's tag on the pre-show a B+, and here's how I grade these matches. I grade these matches on an F to A scale based on their own potential. So certain matches, like the main event, Omega versus Page, it's going to be held to a higher standard than, say, the opening free show match. I'm not grading these matches against each other. I'm grading them against the potential that they have for themselves. Based on that, I thought the Sheeta, Thunder, Nyla Rose, Jamie Hayter was really strong, B+. And this MJF and Darby Allin, I gave an A-. You're welcome, Bob, and whoever else chimes in. You can give your own grades in there if you like. You don't have to, but you can. What else? So there we go. It was nice to see Sting come out. Now, did Sting say that he wasn't going to come out for this, or was that the CM Punk thing? God, I'm getting all these shows mixed up. But Sting was out there. He got some shots in on Shawn Spears and Wardlow. I guess it's long-term storytelling if Wardlow ever does a Virgil and breaks from MJF. Because now they've got Wardlow needs to have another guy with him. Shawn Spears. It's interesting. A heater for a heater. That never ends well. It's kind of like, Bob, if you remember, Sunshine and Precious. My buddy Landon's checking in. How you doing, buddy? Landon does the ASMR stuff. He's very good at it. Huge following for Landon. And Landon was at the the Florida Fire Show last summer. And wow, year and a half ago. So the third match was the women's tag. I'm sorry. God, my lights go off. Everything's happening. We had the next match. Let's see. The Lucha Brothers tag team match, tag team title defense against FTR. If you saw the predictions, you saw that I said that I was worried about this match having bad chemistry. It turns out that the chemistry was great. These guys, Lucha Brothers and FTR, had a much better match than they did before. I loved FTR's robes and outfits. I'll get to Landon in a second there. What about the Eddie Guerrero tributes tonight? I thought those were awesome. Many Eddie Guerrero tributes tonight. My movie, one of them, Landon, will be coming out December 3rd. That's Mr. Birthday. It's a family film. I remember you had a nice family, Landon. You might want to watch that on all the streaming devices. Mr. Birthday, December 3rd. I'm playing Hank. Let's see. What about the Eddie Guerrero tributes tonight? Those were great. We saw that in this match, I believe, buddy. I believe we saw, Bob, that was it Dax Harwood? I get those guys' names mixed up. I think it was Dax who did the Eddie Guerrero tribute, and mockingly, and did like 2 of the 3 Amigos. And then the return around was the other gentleman, Penta Jr. doing the thing. You know what I mean? Penta Jr. did the 3 Amigos and did the little Eddie strut. So I thought that was good. What's up, Mike? We're discussing the Full Gear pay-per-view. If you saw it, let me know what you think. I'm going to do gradings of the matches, which I took during live time. I went to the movie theater and watched this. So I gave this match, Lucha Brothers retaining, which I thought they would actually lose the belts. They retained. I think I gave that. I'm going to double check. But I believe I gave that an A-. And I know why I gave it the minus. You ready? Because the end seemed stunted. Like the thing with the masks, why was the FTR guy like just one of them wearing the mask? Where they're trying to do a switcheroo, and then they got caught. As soon as the guy put the mask on, the crowd kind of died. I don't know if you noticed that, guys, but as soon as the FTR guy, it was Chaz Wheeler, the crowd just died. You know what I mean? And moving forth, Landon's asking questions about the movie. The movie I did with Megan Fox is called Johnny and Clyde. That probably won't be out for another year. The movie that I filmed in April, and when I say I filmed, it means I acted in it. These aren't my directing movies, but I'm acting in them. Thanks, Landon. Mr. Birthday will be out December 3rd. Mick and the Trick that we filmed in Philadelphia last year, or actually North Reading, Pennsylvania. I say Philadelphia because it sounds cooler. God, Landon, you're asking some good questions, buddy. I don't know how to answer that, buddy. You know, just December 3rd, Mr. Birthday will be out. I don't know if it's popular or not. I guess you'll see it, buddy. And then you tell me if it's popular. If you like it, then I'm happy. That's all I care about, Landon. All right. So the next thing, but thanks for asking. I appreciate it. Bryan Danielson and Miro for the number 1 contendership. Who's going to be the next challenger to whoever walks out of Full Gear as the champion? And we had Bryan Danielson, I use his real name now, against Miro. Miro looks sculpted. He's 285 pounds. He looks like a real wrestler. It's interesting when he came into AEW and he was doing the best friend gimmick, the best man gimmick. And I was trying to remember, who was the guy that was with Penelope Ford? What happened to that guy? Like the guy that married Penelope Ford, what happened to him? So here we go. The best part of the pay-per-view was seeing Cody get booed out of the building and them being unable to cut to commercial break. Good point. Good point. Adam's checking it. Adam, I don't know if you saw earlier, buddy, but I'm using your JR's barbecue sauce. I kind of double booked myself. I'm doing a Mike's Meals. I'm starving because I went to the fucking movie the theater. There's no food there except mozzarella sticks. I did not eat the mozzarella sticks. I ate a couple of Fig Newton bars I snuck in. I think it will be on Netflix, buddy. Mr. Birthday, look for it. You can also watch my own movies, Disregard the Vampire, Mike Messier documentary, and so forth. But let's get back to the wrestling. So when I'm in there, and I was pretty hungry, but I mean, I'm like, I'm not going to eat just crappy, sugary raisinets and things. I'm going to wait to go to Wawa and do this Mike's Meals with the review. But now it's like I'm double booked. But I am eating your JR seasoning sauce. What did we do next? We had another great match. The Bryan Danielson Miro, I gave a B plus. Might be a little bit generous. It might have been a B. They were trying to put this over match over big. I don't know. I don't think it was Bryan's greatest. It's not a bad match. It was actually a really good match. For any other show, this might have been the best match on the show. But for this show, we had so many great matches that, I don't think that this was Bryan's best work with Miro. Just the size difference could have been a factor. I also really did believe that Miro should have won this match. I'm not terribly intrigued by Bryan Danielson against Hangman Page coming up now. But you know what? Maybe they'll make it work. So, felt like I saw that match on SmackDown in 2008. LOL from Adam. Well, Bryan, they did kind of work that into the storyline that these guys had met before and Bryan had never beat him. Now he beat him. I think it would have been better, to be honest with you, if Miro won this thing and then Bryan still had someone he hadn't beat. And I feel like they're protecting Bryan and CM Punk too much, and they need to let those guys lose. I think they both should have lost tonight. I'll get to that later, CM Punk's match. Now, what did we have next, guys? Was it the six-man, the wild six-man? I wrote... This is where I really had some interesting things. I think you're agreeing. You always got to say what you're agreeing with because I say so much stuff, Adam. But there's a lot of stuff that I say that's probably agreeable. I think that remember, there might be delays. By the time you comment, I might have moved on to something else. So always try to reference what you said. Yeah, the Britt Baker. We'll get to that, buddy. God, you guys are really pushing all of my buttons here. I'm trying to go in order. But the Luchasaurus match. Interesting that I call it the Luchasaurus match. I always thought Luchasaurus was going to be a breakout star in AEW. I kind of saw tonight why he hasn't been. Not an insult to the guy, but I don't think he can handle a singles career. I don't think Luchasaurus. I think he's doing exactly what he needs to do. He's got the look. He's got a great gimmick. The kid sitting 2 seats from next to me, who wasn't even an AEW fan, was putting over Luchasaurus. Here's the thing. Luchasaurus, he hesitates. He pauses. Maybe it's the mask. I don't know. But there's something about Luchasaurus that he can only really do these type of six-man tags. And to be honest, I also wonder what happened to Marco's Stunt. Not that I miss him, but I was wondering where he was. If Christian has fully replaced Marco's Stunt in this threesome, I'm very happy. But I just have the feeling that we're going to see little Marco come back. Dude, Hangman versus Bryan Danielson is going to be more epic than chocolate after Valentine's Day. That's an interesting statement because usually you get that stuff on sale. So I don't know if you mean it's going to be good or a leftover. It's going to be interesting. But I'm not sure if you mean that in a positive or a negative way, Bob. But good comment. I like that. I'm going to have to use that for something. Thanks. We get to this six-man tag. I do want to make some comments on this. I saw the storyline developing that Christian is trying to make a man out of Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy is afraid to use the chair on his opponents. I think on Adam Page was the concerto. So Christian, at a grizzled 49 years old or whatever he is trying to put some hair on the balls of Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy is resistant because he's a good little Jungle Boy. And so this match had a story, which was pretty interesting because I kept waiting for Christian just to blast Jungle Boy in the fucking head. because they've been teasing that heel turn of Christian on Jungle Boy for months. And they just didn't do it once again. So maybe that won't ever happen. Maybe it'll just fizzle out. But that's still there. That Christian's like the mentor of this group, and he's kind of grooming Jungle Boy, and it's kind of a cool thing. But my question really is, no offense to Jungle Boy, I don't know if he's got the it factor big time anyway. I mean, he does to an extent, but you got to remember, Jungle Boy's 190 pounds. I don't know if Jungle Boy's a future world champion. Positive way, I am all for it. But and this sick man tag you're talking about was fucking awesome. Altogether, even that moonsault from Luchasaurus, that was a great thing. Yeah, Luchasaurus, I mean, once again, it's like he's got certain moves and he's got certain moments. Luchasaurus, I mean, how big is he? I mean, I think they said he's 285, but I think he's got to be 320. 6'4". I mean, he really is like a WWF 1980s guy. I know what you're talking about, buddy. The 6-man tag. This match started off goofy for me. Like the first 10 minutes, I was thinking this was going to be a C+ match, but I think I turned that around because they pulled out all the stops, and this match actually got better as it went on because they started doing all these cool high spots. But it's a 6-man, tag. It's a variation of the bunkhouse 6-man. I mean, if you guys had seen Dusty Rhodes and the Rock and Roll Express against Condrey, Eaton, and Big Bubba in '86 on Worldwide, this was different than that. You know what I mean? But still, it was a fun match. They did some crazy shit. Christian with that flying whatever the fuck. The dramatics of the match, ending with the concerto by Jungle Boy, I guess, on Matt Jackson, and a kind of a storyline with Matt Jackson. I don't understand these critics of AEW that don't see the storytelling. What about the Christian with the crossbody? Like, holy fuck, even at his age. Yep, I was just talking about that, buddy. So, it was a good match. And they did kind of, I don't want to say they saved the match, but the match got better as it went on. The kid, I'm just going to reference this kid, whatever his fucking name was, Toot Seats for me. He'd never seen AEW before. When the Young Bucks were doing a lot of the stuff at the beginning, the kid was like, oh, choreographed dancing is what he said. And, the thumbtacks thing was interesting into the mouth, but where did those thumbtacks go? Jungle Boy called, JR called Jungle Boy Edge during the match. Poor JR. Did he really? I didn't hear that, Adam. I kind of believe you. I do believe you because I know you don't joke around about stuff like that, but that's fucking nuts if he did. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't know if you're joking or not, man, because I didn't hear that. But if that's true, I did have some thoughts about JR's commentary tonight. I thought it's kind of like when you're hanging out with your grandfather and he's such a good storyteller, but like when you were 5 and now you're 30 and he's just old. And you know what I mean? So Shivani still has it. JR, man, I don't know. Mixed feelings about JR in commentary, to be honest with you. Although I do like his seasoning. Thanks, Adam. What's next? This 6-man tag. So what did I give that? I was all over the place with that match, guys. I think I ended up giving it a B+. I wrote down match stalled. This was at the beginning. Was there a chant for section 3? I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but there's some type of chant for section 3. What else? I don't know. Like I said, no Marco's stunt was pretty interesting. Is he gone for good? What if Marco's stunt got into some type of Enzo-like scandal? Can you imagine? I'm not saying that he did. I'm just saying as a humorous thing. What if he did? Marco's stunt. Now we have the next match. And a lot of tag team matches. This roster is bursting at the seams, guys. I put some light on, but the light went out. What can I tell you? Pac and Cody, the Andre and Malachi come out first. The kid, the whole place, this movie theater, 50 guys or whatever, everybody went quiet for Malachi Black coming out. And people were into this match. They were into the entrance. I should say they were into the entrances. The Cody entrance was good. Everybody had a good entrance. This type of storytelling where it's like the good guys don't necessarily get along because they're tagging each other, and then the heels start doing that. It felt a little out of place for the show, but I guess in a way, you got to mix things up. You can't have all the matches just be these awesome matches. It's almost like these guys had to take their match down a notch just to tell a story. And the story was, are we going to have Pac versus Cody on Dynamite? Are we going to have Malachi and Andre turn on each other? Guys, I couldn't remember who the fuck is Andre's father. They keep saying he's second generation. Is it Mil Mascaras, Don Carras? I didn't remember, to be honest with you. There's some guy on a bicycle. I don't trust adults on bicycles after midnight. That's kind of my thing. So this guy's kind of wandering around. Hopefully he's not going to come near me. Yeah, of course he is. So anyway, we had the whole thing. There he goes, off into the sunset. Ah, boy. Just get the fuck away from me. So we had the fucking match, Pac and Cody. Andre takes the pin. I'm not so sure how I feel about that. I mean, it's just a loaded roster now, guys. I mean, you got so many guys that come in to AEW. What do you do with all these fucking guys? Somebody's got to lose, right? And I was thinking about that. Like, oh, is Andre upset that he's not the world champion? Hold on. But not everybody can be world champion all the time. Some guys just have to wrestle. So Pac gets the victory. I don't know. I guess I give that a C plus maybe. I guess I just didn't think that match was that good, to be honest with you. Then we had God, what was next, guys? Was it the Inner Circle street fight, or was it I think it was actually, here we go, Mike. Shout out to Jake Hudson and Evil Uno. That's me. Very good. Adam, Pac hates to lose, so not surprised. Didn't he have that WrestleMania match with Austin Aries like 6 years ago that wasn't put on the official WrestleMania DVD? And I think it was actually Aries who was bitching about it on Twitter. Guess what, guys? I have to admit something, and don't hold this against me. I actually conked out. I fell asleep during the fucking CM Punk Kingston match. Like, it was the match I was looking forward to the most, to be honest with you, and I fucking conked out. I'm just being honest. That's what happened. I'm just, hey, look, I had a busy day. I'm doing a lot of important things, and I didn't get my Mikey nap time. So CM Punk, yeah, I did hear that Punk won, man. I did see a YouTube bootlegger had it up there, so I'm going to watch it later, but I'm just being honest. I really wish that I didn't fucking fall asleep. But I woke up and the kids in the row with me were like, hey, they're trying to get out of the fucking row and they're apologizing. Well, I heard, I know, I wish I had seen it. But hey, what does it say about the quality of the show, Bob, that I missed maybe the best match on the show, or the match I was looking forward to the most, and I still like the show? So any fucking way, I fucking missed it. I wake up for the street fight, the Inner Circle, and oh my God. So what happened to this fucking thing? Jesus, I'm trying to remember who the fuck won. I think, didn't the Inner Circle win? Or am I just fucking losing my mind here? It was an interesting match. Yeah, the Inner Circle won. Jericho, I think, pinned Lambert. So like I said in the pre-show, my pre-show analysis was, if the Inner Circle wins, this feud is over. Yeah, so the Inner Circle did win. So if the Inner Circle wins, this feud is done. It's over, right? And they did win. So that's fine. I thought it was okay. I mean, I guess I was a little, it was Junior Dos Santos, right? I guess I didn't know that he had wrestled professionally. I don't know where he's done that, but he was really good. Arlovsky, who had some of the worst UFC heavyweight fights ever with the guy from Maine, the 6'5" guy, Tim Sylvia, worst UFC title fights ever. They hogged up the UFC heavyweight title for about 2 or 3 years. Was that like 2004 to 2006? and their fight sucked. And Jericho did a frog splash at the end in a tribute to Eddie. I was going to ask you, Bob, do you know why? Did Eddie pass away in November of 2005? So is this like the 16th year anniversary? Was it Eddie's passing? Was that this week or today? Is this the anniversary? Yeah, Jericho won with the frog splash. He did a really good frog splash too. So I'm just asking. I'm not being derogatory. What? Okay, so you said yes, it was. Was today the actual anniversary, November 13th of Eddie's passing? Wow, unbelievable. Time flies. 16 years, right? Unbelievable. So Viva La Raza to fucking Eddie. I mean, Eddie was great. Eddie was really great. And I saw Eddie Guerrero in a SmackDown match. There was a SmackDown where like Eddie Guerrero wrestled JBL in a cage, and Kurt Angle came out in a mask. Saturday, November 13th, 2005. So 16 years to the day. Thanks for the intel, Bob. And interestingly enough, also on a Saturday. So probably the best Eddie Guerrero memory I have for seeing him live was that SmackDown. You can probably easily find it. Providence Civic Center, I guess 2004. And I guess JBL had just beaten Eddie a few weeks earlier. And they had a rematch in a cage on SmackDown. And I think everybody thought Eddie was just going to get the title right back because no one really had faith in this new JBL heel champion character. But instead, Kurt Angle came out in a mask and helped JBL retain somehow. So, and I remember after the show was over, I kind of hung out for as long as I could in the arena. And Eddie Guerrero came back out and was kind of like talking to security and talking to the fans. And I remember just kind of standing there, you know, watching him from a distance. And then a security guard said, "Hey, is everything okay, sir?" to me. And I said, "Yeah, I just want to say hi to the champ." And I said that. Now, Eddie was no longer the champion, but for me, he really was because he was the people's champion at that point. Oh, okay, here we go. And the city he passed away in was the same city we're at. Okay, folks, we have a special guest. Very good. We have a special guest. Crosby Tatum is in the house, folks.
What's up? How y'all doing, guys?
Hey, buddy. I'm glad you're here, Crosby.
Big Mike of the Angry Wrestling Podcast. You know what I'm saying? Look at
now, Crosby,
what you angry about?
You were at the show tonight in the arena, correct?
Yes, I am. I'm still currently live. We're here at the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and basically the show, like we're an hour off of the entire show. What an amazing night. I don't think I've ever been a part of anything like what AEW Full Gear was. That was a real special show, and hearing it live, oh my gosh, amazing.
Now, where did you come to the show from? You came in from Chicago or Boston or where?
Yeah, so basically I'm basically doing a 2-city loop. Basically from Boston, went to Chicago, basically had a film premiere over at the Gene Siskel Film Center for a documentary called The Woodstock of House, one project I edited. That is going very well right now. I believe there is a virtual screening for it. So there's that. Secondly, there is, you know, so I decided to come into Minnesota since, like, you know, just decided, hey, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's make something happen.
Why not? You deserve it.
Heck yeah, you know, you work hard, you know what I'm saying? You might as well just, like, enjoy yourself.
Enjoy life, because we don't have it forever. And Crosby, the fans were telling me, Bob Mann was saying that Eddie Guerrero passed away 16 years ago on November 13th, 2005, which
yes.
In the city that you're in. But let me ask you this, Crosby. Did you see anything as part of the live
check out.
show?
There goes the trucks. There goes the trucks.
Oh, cool, man. Show us what you see, buddy. The AEW trucks. Cool.
Yeah.
Did you see anything tonight, Crosby, as part of the live show that the people like myself watching the pay-per-view didn't see?
Other than dueling chants between two sides of the arena, there were just it was a rabid fan base. Mostly 75%, I would say 80% of the entire show, everybody was just standing for every single
Okay.
thing that happened. Basically, the pops were there for all the Eddie Guerrero tributes, Three Amigos, Frog Splashes. You see Chris Jericho in the middle of the ring talking to Eddie, saying while he's looking above while he's being consoled by the Inner Circle after they just fought out the American Top Team. You got it was kind of funny because it was like during the street fight, between Inner Circle and ATT, Hager just drops off somewhere and he basically goes to around our side of the center and he basically falls. He basically, exits out of our scene and everything like that. So, view wise, it was really just an amazing experience. Like literally, it's basically like sex, guns, and rock and roll for for a show and everything.
How many fans do you think were there? How big is the arena, and was it sold out or close to sold out? What do you think?
It's a really big arena. It's a good 13 to 15,000 seat arena, and honestly speaking, it looked pretty full.
Okay.
It looked pretty full. We're not gonna say rafters to rafters because they did have their camera sectioned off. So they had production sectioned off and everything like that, but it really looked so full. I couldn't count how many. There's not really an empty seat in the house except like if you're really in the nosebleeds, like really, really in the nosebleeds. But even so, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was packed.
Well, I was at Double or Nothing, which was at Daly's place, and they said it was sold out. And it's about a 5,500 seat place, and I think they had maybe 5,000 actual fans. And then you're right, they have to have sections with no fans because of camera angles and cameras and gear, basically.
Yeah.
Crosby, was the first match you saw live tonight the women's tag match that we saw, or was there any dark matches before that?
No, it was basically when I got to the arena fairly, around 7:30 for the most part. So,
okay.
Basically, when I came up, it was basically Caster and it was the Acclaim, with Bowens and Caster, they were doing their thing, and then basically went to the six women. I believe it was the tag match with it was Rosa and Sheeta and basically Jamie Hayter and Nyla Rose, I believe.
Yes, so, it was just a 2-on-2, and the baby face girls won, and Serena Deeb
basically you just heard Vicky Guerrero all night, and everyone here in Minnesota is going, "Excuse me,"
I gotta say,
all the place.
She was like really annoying, and I know that
she was annoying in the arena. She was just like mad, like everyone else is like, "Excuse me," all the other guys. So
it reminds me of Jimmy Hart with the Hart Foundation used to have the megaphone. It actually was more enjoyable on TV because if you were in person seeing Jimmy Hart, it got pretty distracting and annoying, to be honest with you. But
that's pretty much what the job was that she did. She did phenomenal, and live wise, everyone was just responding to everything. It was just it was dope. I'll be honest, it was dope. My voice is very hoarse right now because it's gone.
Seems like you had a great time. Tell me again about which movie is you premiered, and I know that one of you, Confused by Love, people can see on Amazon Prime that you directed and wrote.
Yes.
And I like that movie a lot too. I remember seeing the premiere in Boston years ago. So if people want to see my buddy Crosby's one of his movies, Confused by Love, Amazon Prime, you can watch it for free. And the one that I'm in, surprise, surprise, that's on Maverick Channel, right?
Yep, it's on the Maverick Movie Channel. You know what I'm saying? We could just show you throw me out of the building, and surprise, surprise. Honestly speaking, it's one of the more fulfilling projects that we got together and we worked on. And honestly, Mike, it's just always been a pleasure. We connected, through the silver screen and also through through our love of wrestling. And
That's true.
So it's
actually,
just
oddly enough, we were connected through the silver screen before wrestling. And Crosby also appeared on the second episode of this podcast, Cures Racism, which people can see right here on the Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. Bob's got
Please
a
do
nice
so.
comment about Eddie. Crosby, there was a lot of Eddie Guerrero references and tributes.
Ooh.
Chris Jericho, Dax Harwood healing it
Yep.
up with the
Mhm.
Lucha Brothers.
Yep.
Any thoughts on that? Like how the crowd was reacting to the Eddie tributes, or your own thoughts on Eddie, real quick? Go ahead.
It's all love, and honestly, just being here in Minneapolis with, on the anniversary of the late great Eddie Guerrero, Viva la Raza. It's really just a blessing just for us to be here and to be present. It was like 15 years ago when, some odd years ago when, Eddie
16.
passed. 16, yes. Where Eddie passed, and here comes another AEW truck that's passing by us.
Oh wow.
So they're really they're leaving, they're leaving right now as we speak.
Cool.
So, I saw the show on Raw, and I was crying. My friend Laz, we were emotional because he loved Eddie too. So Eddie was a very transcendent person. He touched you with just a wink or a smile or anything of that sort, and he represented saying a style of wrestling that you just can't reproach. And honestly
Right.
speaking, Eddie will always be in our hearts and minds forever. And to the Guerrero family and the extended family that he has, and also with everyone that knows him or worked with him, my thoughts and prayers are with them during this time continuously, because they are truly amazing people. And we love Eddie, and we wish he was still here.
Well said, brother. And I was telling my personal favorite memory, or one of them, of seeing Eddie Guerrero versus JBL in a cage match at the Providence Civic Center, and Kurt Angle came out and interfered and helped JBL retain the title against Eddie.
Yes.
And did you get the chance to see Eddie wrestle in person and all?
I don't think so. For the amount of times that I was, now attending, Raws and SmackDowns and also other wrestling organizations, I never really got that opportunity to see him live. But even if you saw him on television, you felt like he was there.
Oh yeah.
So you just felt he was there for that moment, for that situation, and he was just present. So I think that basically, if you were lucky to know Eddie, if you, like I said, if you worked with Eddie, if you just did anything with Eddie, you were just a better person, in front of the camera and behind.
Well, I think I could be wrong, but I think Eddie Guerrero actually wrestled at the Super Clash 3 AWA World Class pay-per-view. I think he was in a 6-man tag with, I want to say, Hector and Mondo Guerrero against the Rock and Roll RPMs and somebody else. I could be wrong on that, but I know it was 3 Guerreros. I think Eddie was in there. But, I mean, his career, if he was on that show, which I feel bad that I don't know exactly if he was or not, but I think he was. Then he goes to ECW, Japan, WCW, which he really did get his name going in WCW, in my opinion. And then WWE, really, he took it to the next level and goes all the way to the top and gets the Bruno belt, as I call it, the Bruno belt. At that time, you had the WWE championship, and then you had the World Heavyweight title. And in my opinion, the Bruno belt, as I call it, is the real WWE world title, and that's what Eddie had.
So. Yes. Like with, the one that Big E is, well, the lineage is still with, it's still there, and the Bruno belt still present. So, that's where it is. And, like I said, the anniversary of Eddie Guerrero is very special to a lot of us, and we wish he was here today. I know I wish he was here today, because honestly, it would be so cool to just see him try to do something with this new crop of wrestlers that are around.
Well, even if
Honestly,
he was retired, you got to think he'd be a manager or a commentator, right?
exactly. And you want to think like, oh, he might be in AEW, honestly, right now at this time.
Yeah, he probably would be because I could see him kind of being the
Yeah,
spokesman for the Lucha Brothers, for instance.
exactly. You
Well,
know, if you know, you can fancy book your way around whatever it is, but I think that you know, just the fact that he was here is just really a blessing. And we wish he was here still. But you could just see it plastered all over the show. Everyone pretty much had a tribute to him, and I think the way how it was centered and planned, I think that was the case um, for this entire show is the fact that it's going to be we're celebrating Eddie Guerrero. There were signs around that was saying Latino Heat forever, and I think one they caught on camera around my area. So uh, it was just really a blessing. So
that's awesome, man. Well spoken. And I want to ask you more about the live experience tonight. I have some typical wrestling fan questions, but maybe if you can just provide anything that you want to say initially about your experience tonight at the AEW show, anything that you want to say, share with us, and then I'll go into my questions after that. Go ahead.
yeah, so basically, the way how AEW is, I come from television, I come from film. The way how it's produced and staged, it's basically staged like a UFC type of event. It feels real. It feels like it's not there to insult your intelligence.
Right.
It feels like it's basically as the guy Vince McMahon would say it's all about chutzpah. You know what I'm saying? Who you got against this guy and that guy, and that's pretty much like the premise of what the show is really centered around. And basically, it's really just like who you got, what you got. Basically, it's kind of built around this stage of conflict between two wrestlers who want to one up one another. It's not a story. It's not contrived. The storylines are basically just competition based, and I think that's really one of the really awesome parts about AEW is that it has a competition central focus in its presentation and in its style, and that's really the blessing. And I think that's what people want to see, wrestling wise. They want something that's going to feel real, and they want something that's going to feel like it's treating them with respect.
Right.
And basically the other show basically does everything in its power to disrespect you in a way because basically it's to the whims of one man.
Well,
Um, but
yeah,
but but I wouldn't say that like for that person but I think that this show it caters to a unique audience brand, and honestly it's doing its thing.
it is. And for me, I think what you just said was great. And I was saying earlier on my pre-show analysis, it was like this was a show where we weren't really expecting surprises, although we did get a surprise with Jay Lethal. What was
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
was your personal reaction to Jay Lethal's appearance,
I,
Crosby? And then
oh, I just let my camera roll
yeah,
because basically, the response was, in of itself, everyone was just on their feet. I mean, me internally, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Jay Lethal. Here we go. Let's go. One of the best wrestlers in the world. You know, this is it. We're about to get some real good ish. Just when you think AEW is done, here they come. They got another surprise for you.
do you think that they will? Do you think that they'll have Jay Lethal win the TNT title on Wednesday right away?
It would be a unique surprise. But my money's still on Sammy Guevara. I think there are still plans for him to take that TNT title. But here's the unique thing though with Sammy. Sammy is still, he's, they AEW is now on this thing with the four pillars, right? The four
Right.
pillars of their brand. So it's they're doing this thing, and it's like, some of the four pillars lost and things like that. So it's this thing where you're like, you know, you're just like saying of this mode of this situation where um he can't lose, he shouldn't lose, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does lose.
You're talking about Sammy losing, or you're talking about
Yes,
Jay losing.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jay lost either. Or they could do just a schmoz or something like that, where it's
They could do a
basically,
draw,
yeah, what I'm
and
saying, because you want to present Jay Lethal with, like, literally speaking, there's what I'm saying, AEW still has their issue with diversity that still needs to be addressed a little bit.
sure,
What I'm saying, I think that's where WWE is more stronger at, believe it or not.
yeah.
With they're more diverse and more inclusive.
Well, I have a feeling, what
But
not to say that Jay Lethal is gonna rectify everybody's ailments, but I think if they had put Jay Lethal, if he comes in strong, look, the guy's gonna, in my opinion, I could be wrong, Crosby, but I think Ring of Honor is done,
oh
and I
yeah, no,
think that if
they're completely. It's over. It's
right,
over.
so I've
The,
I've got to
the,
think.
yeah.
I'm gonna say that I'm gonna think if they were smart, I think they put the belt on Jay Lethal, the TNT title. Andrew's got a question for both of
Yeah.
us, but I'll let you take it first. Thoughts on Darby versus MJF?
Okay.
Crosby, you were there live. What did you think?
Smart booking. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the first thing that MGF came in and established is the notion that he is going to beat somebody with a roll up, on some heel ish. Darby comes out. It's like he starts it off with a movie, and Darby's presence, his energy, just excites the crowd and the audience. They have a fun match. It actually went longer than I thought it would go, but it was like one of those things where it's like they're gonna keep going, and then boom, knocks him out with a pair of knuckles, I believe. I couldn't really see.
Right.
What I'm saying? It looks like he knocked him out with a pair of knuckles. Boom, he's laid out, gets to roll up, and then he just wins, and then everybody is just booing the crap out of him. It was just a sea of boos.
I was saying earlier that it was like they did kind of that Will Ospreay, I think it was Ricochet thing from like 6 or 7 years ago when
Oh
they
yes, that in the opening sequence.
right.
In the opening sequence, they did this fun back and forth with the nip ups or the get ups, and then basically um, they are officially they basically do their thing.
802 Blues is wondering, can we get the Briscoes in AEW? Talent wise, they would fit right in. I believe, I could be wrong, that one of the Briscoes had some controversial tweets 4 or 5 or 6 years ago that people didn't appreciate. I don't remember what exactly it was about. AEW is kind of a politically correct company, maybe to a fault. And in that case, I don't know if the Briscoes will come into AEW, but talent-wise, they could be there. Any thoughts on the Briscoes, Crosby?
They're really one of the more crazier tag teams out there. I think that observational wise, the way how I mean, number one, with the way how Ring of Honor's business is set up to Sinclair, it's not pristine. They're literally ready to sell all their assets off and consolidate their tape library. So basically, bringing in the Briscoes, I think would be it'll be a great get to bolster the tag team scene for AEW because you could go into a situation where you run afoul of your tag teams basically fending off each other in a certain cycle every single month, a year, or whatever, and you're gonna be like, we need fresh matchups. So I do think that there's a home for them, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they freelance everywhere.
I wouldn't mind seeing the Briscoes versus Santana or Ortiz for some reason. That'd be a fun match.
Oh no, no, that'll be bonkers. That'll be bonkers.
Yeah.
That'll be straight. That'll be straight. You know, what I'm saying country bumpkin versus the ghetto.
Right. I like
That'll be
Santana and Ortiz's face makeup tonight. What'd you think of that?
dope, dope. Like you know, what I'm saying they still play out the dead presidents. You know, what I'm saying makeup. You know,
It's a Mario Van Peebles movie, isn't it? Or
uh, it
was it John
did,
Singleton?
I don't believe it was John Cena. I think it was Melvin Van Peebles.
I thought it was Mario Van Peebles.
Mario Van Peebles. I get. You know, I made this mistake one time with Mario back in L.A. Where I actually called him by his father's name
Right.
because you know I'm a Melvin Van Peebles guy. I love Sweetback's badass song.
Yep.
You know, um, but you know Mario, he is amazing in his own right, and God rest his soul for Melvin. He just passed earlier
Yeah.
this year, a couple months ago. So my thoughts and prayers with the People's family. So, but yeah, I think that presence was Mario, and he is just you know they have that inspiration from them, which is dope, and I love it.
Well, the movie that got me going in acting was Hard Luck that Mario Van Peebles directed. I had a fight scene with him and Wesley
Right,
Snipes.
I remember. You know that, and that's how we casted you. And surprise,
Thanks.
surprise.
Well, okay, so now here's some of my typical wrestling fan questions. Give me Crosby by your memory tonight. And I know that sometimes we see a big wrestling show, so many things happen. You know, no problem if you forget something because tons of stuff happened tonight. Who who did you get? Who did you feel got the biggest pops of the night? And just to supplement that question with, who got a bigger pop than you would have expected? Meaning the crowd reaction. Who was the biggest crowd
Uh,
reactions, and who got like more of a crowd reaction than you would have expected? You still with me, Crosby? Okay, folks. I think we had a little technical with Crosby. He might be coming back. I'll just talk for a few minutes. My buddy Crosby Tatum was there tonight. Really great of him to come on to the podcast with me because I wanted to have him here to talk about the show. I think Crosby's phone might have died out or whatever. So I'm going to take Crosby out for now. And Crosby,
okay.
there, buddy?
Yes, I'm back.
Oh,
I'm
good, you're
back.
back.
So basically, what's happening right now is there are fans are stranded right now at the Target Center,
Wow.
coming from AEW. Like Uber and Lyfts are basically not cooperating right now. There's like a huge assortment of fans that are basically all around the area. If you see outside here, they're down
Yep.
there, and basically if you go down here, and like I said, it's cold, it's snowing, it's it's brutal here in the Twin Cities.
How far are
So
you from the hotel, bro?
a lot of miles.
Yeah, so it's not a walking thing. It's a fucking get an
No,
Uber or Lyft thing.
no, you have to get an Uber or a Lyft, and there's really literally no taxis here in the downtown area.
Well, I don't want to
Um,
hold you up, bro. Did you
n-
did you call for an Uber or Lyft earlier? I don't want to hold you up.
yeah, yeah, but like they're getting canceled here and there, so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like you're just trying to find some place that you can get a ride, and then got to find a way to get back to where you got to go. Because
Right.
because basically, like I said, I think this is a situation where we're all trying to still come back after we've been cramped up
Right.
cramped up from the pandemic. So certain things are not going to be where they are. So
Right.
that's one of those items. But basically, biggest pops we gotta say, Hangman Adam Page was really one. Another one that really resonated was surprisingly Eddie Kingston.
Okay.
Eddie Kingston basically, he was like the belle of the ball in a way
Right.
until basically he gave the double birds to CM Punk. And then what you didn't see on, I think you guys didn't see this, but when we were in the arena, Punk was gesturing a title belt around his waist.
Oh wow.
I'm not sure if you guys saw this or not, so I'm probably breaking some news to you right now, but he was gesturing the title belt
He
around his
wants
waist.
he wants a piece of the winner tonight, which turned out to be Hangman Page.
Yeah. So basically, he gestured that, and like I said, it was dark on camera. Couldn't see it, but yeah, I think Punk wants to go back. I think he wants to get gold.
Here's the thing, Crosby. I'd rather see CM Punk versus Hangman Page based on the promos alone. I don't I have for whatever reason Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Page doesn't do much for me.
No, it doesn't.
I just think of Bryan as a wrestler. I'm loving Bryan's wrestling matches.
He's
although
winning.
tonight's wasn't his best match by far. The stuff he's
No.
done on Dynamite and Rampage, I thought were better than the Miro match tonight. 802 Blues is saying Cornette compared Eddie Kingston to Stone Cold this week, double bird fit. And you know what? I listened to that audio podcast tonight of Brian Last and Jim Cornette comparing. I guess Eddie wrote an article, and I haven't found that article yet. I'll read it, but
it's a player's tribute. It was a fascinating read. You got it's whenever you get a moment, just read it. Like front to back. You will. You'll. This is the reason why you heard such a big pop for him. Because the one thing about the AEW audience is they're extremely loyal, and they want to they want to basically garner whatever headlines there's with their favorite wrestler. And I think what happened was, the Players Tribute is, saying for people who don't know, the Players Tribune is basically, players only. They write out their own articles that they share, like it's the Atlantic or something of that nature. And basically, Brian Danielson basically wrote his where he says he's retiring to guest chance in AEW, but he's still doing this gesturing thing where it's like, saying making mention of it. Like he's not doing yes, but he's like doing this wave thing,
right?
Which I noticed, and I'm like, okay, a little something there. And then basically, Eddie Kingston, when he wrote his article, that's the reason why his pop was very large today, and there was resonance. Was very surprised not to hear a lot on. Miro kind of was, the Miro Brian Danielson match, it just doesn't mesh well sometimes with those two.
Right.
Because like I think they try to be too real. I think
Miro and Danielson.
Yeah, Danielson, they're trying to be like too real. Whereas like they just need to stick to the basics. I mean, like I said, their matches never meshed in WWE, so it's kind of like whatever,
I agree. It wasn't a horrible match by any means, and they definitely told the.
But everyone basically, everyone was like, they was like getting up and they were just like, okay, let's go get some more snacks. But you know what match really people were getting up and getting snacks for?
What?
Malachi, Andrade, Cody, and Pac.
Yeah. It was like they were trying to do the two teams where the partners don't get along, and it's like it was kind of out of place because it was something you might put on Dynamite for a Dynamite event.
That was a
storyline, but
it was a Dynamite thing.
It didn't really work, man.
No, and basically everyone in the arena was just like, whatever with Cody. They were like, you just heard boos and they just cheer for everyone else. Which, say it's kind of like, just turn Cody. I mean, heck, Arn Anderson got, cheered. Everyone else got cheered in that thing except Cody, and Cody's the one that wants to get cheered.
When Arn Anderson was attacking, I guess Andrade's representative, the kind of novice AEW fan near me in the movie theater said, "This feels like a fight at the DMV, like some angry grandfather getting mad at the guy working at the DMV."
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, it really did feel like that, and it also felt like something like where, um, you know, what I'm saying he gets this. He's basically just like that old guy that basically says, "I got a little bit more left in me in the tank," and it's like you got nothing on that.
That's Arn or Cody you're talking about?
Oh, Arn. Cody is just like,
Okay.
please like me. I just want you to like me a little more, just a little
Here's
more,
a good
please.
speculative question, Crosby, 802 Blues. Was Flair supposed to be a part of this until the dark side stuff? I'll throw my take in real quick. I think so. I think without the dark side of the ring plane ride from hell episode, we probably would have seen Ric Flair in AEW by now. What do you think, Crosby?
Oh yeah, no, he was definitely on his way. He was on his way, but Darkseid jacked that whole thing up. Period.
We here's a little note that people may or may not know. The lady that was on the dark side, the stewardess I was quite sympathetic to her watching the show. It turns out she has a little bit of a criminal history too for stealing some jewelry. So people kind of say, "Hey, how do we know she's telling the truth?" Uh-oh, we've got a contradictory opinion. Michael Monty from Monty and the Pharaoh show, where I do my weekly AEW apologist rants. I'll be doing one tomorrow for you at some point, Mike. Mike says it sucked. Worst pay-per-view ever.
Bro,
He's a hater.
man, I'm not sure what type of haterade you drinking, fam, but you know what? I think you need to just calm yourself down and just like take it all in. We got two shows that are giving you, two companies that are giving you the very best that they're giving you right now. You know what I'm saying? So
Well,
whatever you're sipping, you need to calm yourself down, bro. Well, the other one is just
Mike's in New Jersey. I'm sorry, Long Island, New York. Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monty and the Pharaoh. Mike's a good guy, and I do the weekly AEW apologist rants, and I've been on their show. They've got Tony Atlas doing Tuesday night shows, and they do their show. But for me, here's the thing, guys. When I became a wrestling fan, WWF was the first company I watched. But within maybe 6 months of watching WWF, I became aware of Georgia Championship Wrestling. Tells you how fucking old I am. And there was a time, guys, when I was a pretty young wrestling fan, that watching what I was watching, Bob Backlund or the Wild Samoans, or my favorite was actually Rocky Johnson and SD Jones, believe it or not. But I felt like, oh yeah, this WWF stuff is rigged or whatever. But this stuff, like, I always talk about Killer Brooks putting the fucking bull rope through Bobby Jagger's forehead. You know what I mean? And these photographs of Paul Orndorff wrestling Ric Flair to a 60-minute draw in the Omni, and seeing the Road Warriors, in Georgia Championship beating up Buzz Sawyer. Like, that stuff felt real to me.
yes.
Well, 802 Blues, I'm glad it's working. The cross promotion with me and Monty the Pharaoh. And Monty, you should have my buddy Crosby here on the show sometime too, on the Monty and the Pharaoh show. 802 Blues, that's great to hear. We're cross promoting the Monty and the Pharaoh. They've got Barry Windham with an interview. Missy Hyatt was on, and some others. So I'm glad
Auntie
you're here,
Pharaoh.
802 Blues.
Auntie Pharaoh, what up? What up?
No, they're
What up?
very good. But I think here's the thing, Crosby. We can talk about this. There is a thing, I think, especially if people in the Northeast, like, for instance, you're representing the Red Sox. You brought your Red Sox jacket all the way to the show with you tonight. The people in New England are very loyal, and Long Island's not technically part of New England, but the people in the Northeast are very loyal to their sports and to their teams and to their players. And I guess I'm not asking you a question so much as just, what do you think of that? Like, do people is their loyalty so strong that sometimes they're closed-minded to new things that are new, so they're not giving them a chance because they're new.
It's basically what we speak about tribalism. Tribalism is
Right.
still prevalent in America today still, because basically we're in these echo chambers. We are listening to certain things that basically make us feel the way that they want us to feel, and basically it's kind of funny because there are people who are saying that basically the AEW audience and the WWE audience is basically these. It's this big warfare thing where it's basically no, it's just the same audience that's basically split into two things because they just tried themselves off as two. And it's until we get past that, until we get past the tribalism and just say, hey, look, this is great. You know what I'm saying? We got two companies that are doing great things. You know what I'm saying? Like your flavor for scripts and all that other stuff in the sports entertainment, you know, you don't have to do that. You can just go to somewhere else, like any other team. You can love something else and then still feel like you love that person. Like for me, I love my New England Patriots. But guess what?
Sure.
I actually grew up as a Cowboys fan because I love the Cowboys back in the 90s. Nobody knows that. You know what I'm saying? Boston
Neon
Celtics.
Dion, right?
Hell yeah. Prime time, baby.
Sure.
Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith. I mean, the trio. And then basically you had in Chicago Bulls, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, Horace Grant. You know what I'm saying? The coach that's now with Golden State. I forget.
Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr, yeah, Tony Kukoc. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that team, that was like the first basketball team I actually was a fan of. I love my Boston Celtics. I had Bird, Reggie Lewis, D Brown. Then we had Paul Pierce. He came with Antoine Walker, but then we got the big three. With Garnett, Ray Allen. Gotta love as a Celtics fan. But hey, I love the Bulls too. I also love, and in some form or another, I respect the Lakers, but you know what? Can't. It's rivalry.
I jumped on the Lakers bandwagon when they had Kobe and Shaq as the 1-2 punch.
Hater. No, I'm just playing.
And I remember when they played the Sacramento Kings in the West Finals, and I think they went to a triple overtime in the 7th game one year.
and let's tie it back to wrestling.
Yeah.
But I'll be sure to come back when the Lakers beat the Kings in May.
That's funny, man.
So hey, when it comes with wrestling, let's just chill with all that other crazy stuff. Let's just enjoy what we have, man. It's special. It's not going to be duplicated, and it's not going to be anything like that. Now check this out. My Uber is actually arriving here shortly.
Awesome. We'll let you go, brother.
We are able to nab one. I'm very, saying now we can get home because I got a 6 a.m. flight.
Okay, man. Thanks so much, Crosby. Have a safe trip home, bro. Thanks so much for your report.
And please, watch AEW Full Gear. It was the loudest show I've ever been a part of. Like, literally, it was one of the most amazing nights in the history of our sport. Please go out of your way to get it. Read up on the Kingston article because, honestly speaking, you will not regret any doubt about it. It is cold as hell out here.
Confused by Love on Amazon
Prime.
Oh,
yes, and please watch our movie Confused by Love on Prime Video, IMDb TV. We're on Fubo, and we're also on Tubi as well. So please check out our movie when you can, and also surprise on the Maverick Movie Channel. That's what's up too. And also look out for our first documentary, Why Now, about the year that was 2020.
Oh yeah.
So look out for that.
Awesome, Crosby. Thanks, bro. Safe
Thank
travels.
Thank you, Michael. I will see you soon.
Peace, bro.
Peace, and see you guys later, guys.
Thanks, Crosby.
Later.
Well, I want to thank Crosby Tatum, who made a special point to spend time with us here as he's getting into his Uber. And back to me, subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. So I'll wrap up with the rest of the matches. I think we were up to the Dr. Britt Baker match. Dr. Britt Ty Conti, man, this was kind of a match. I think I gave it a C plus, which it had some really good moments, mostly with Britt doing some pretty awesome moves, but it seemed choppy at times. It seemed like they just weren't coordinated well a few times. Here's the thing, we call things botches in pro wrestling, but if it was an actual fight, they wouldn't always pull off a move, right? Like if you were gonna, like if a boxer misses a punch, you don't say he botched a punch, he missed. So anyway, but I don't think it was a. That being said, I don't think it was a great. It had its moments, the Brit Tay match, but compared to everything else, and like I said, basing it on what it could have been, give it a C plus. Uh, then God, am I forgetting anything? But we had that world title match, Hangman Page and challenging challenging Omega. Am I forgetting the match or what, guys? I don't know. It's late. Uh, it was a really good match, and I'm trying to think if was there anything about this match that threw me. So Cornette says the same things when the guys like kind of wait for the punches, like when two guys are throwing forearms and they're just you hit me, you hit me. Miro did an interesting spin on that with his match with Bryan Danielson when he was basically begging for kicks. But overall, it was a really good main event. I mean, it was a good match to see. I thought it was a great show, Mike. I don't know if you're talking about this podcast or the actual AEW Full Gear. Um, the Young Bucks coming out to do nothing. Yeah, it was weird because I think it was Excalibur trying to tell a story, or maybe Jim Ross, that Matt Jackson is the Young Bucks are now in the corner of Hangman Page, and I'm not really sure where they're going with that. Like, would they try to make the Young Bucks babyface again tonight? Oh, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, I wanted to do something different. I knew my friend Crosby was out there. I thought, I went to the movie theater. A lot of you guys probably watched on Bleacher or Facebook, or you didn't watch at all. But in any event, I want to do something different. My friend happened to be going out there, so I said, why not bring him in for a live in-person thing? And I'm glad we did because we talked about Eddie. I think Bob was informing me that it was in fact the 16th anniversary of Eddie's passing. Um, so that's very special. It was a good night to be a wrestling fan. It was a good night to be an AEW fan. And like I said, I'm trying to be fair and not use what AEW did tonight. I think they're getting to the point, guys, where you can just watch AEW now and it's got its own history. It's got its own lineage. It's been around for 2 years and 2 years and a month. So now we have our own little lineage, our own little history, and we've watched it happen in live time. Whether you're coming on now or you were there from the beginning, it's cool to see this thing develop and storylines like Omega and Hangman Page. Let's see here, 2 years in the making. On being the Elite, when Hangman left the Elite, Matt Buck was played off as Big Best Friend, and they went to apologize to each other numerous times. Well, thanks for that insight. I've watched some skits of Being the Elite. I'm not opposed to it. And I do realize that that's kind of how the Young Bucks got over to a higher level, that they took the ball in their own hands. They did their own YouTube sketch show about being wrestlers. And that show has kind of developed and gone in different ways. And it kind of led to, I mean, like a lot of things with Brody Lee, throwing the newspaper at the Dark Order, a lot of stuff, with the wrestlers of AEW comes from Being the Elite. I can't say that I've watched every episode. And in fact, I haven't watched most of them, but it's a supplemental thing and it seems to be working. And I think that's for someone like myself, who's kind of a do-it-yourself filmmaker, and I write books, A Distance from Avalon and so forth. I respect the fact that Cody, the Bucks, Omega, Hangman, they all started this thing, Jericho, Moxley, with Tony Khan. And look, we can say Tony Khan was born on third base, and we can question some things that they've done in AEW, which is fine. But to me, whenever somebody does their own thing, that's exciting to me. And I think that they have changed the wrestling business, and they have put a little bit of a bug in the ear of the other company. On, yep. So we just said that. Okay. So I don't know. I'm just saying that I like the AEW thing. At least it's something new and different. And here we are. I'm watching an AEW pay per view, and 2.5 years ago that didn't exist, and 3 years ago there was no such thing as All In. And I'm watching in a movie theater with 50 other guys watching a wrestling show on a big screen. The Dark Order came out. Anna Jay is such a, there's some really attractive women in AEW, and you don't want to just judge these women by their attractiveness level. But I mean, Anna Jay is a very attractive young woman. She comes out with the Dark Order. But Hangman Page never fully accepted the Dark Order, so it's still one of those weird deals. Cody hasn't been on being the Elite in over a year. Only mention of him was when Cole came back. They said Koss went to a reality star. Oh, said Cody went to be a reality star. Okay, interesting. And we've heard these rumblings of behind the scenes tensions with Cody and the Bucks and maybe Omega. I didn't know if that was just storyline shtick or what. I tend to believe that it is. With these wrestlers, if you've ever spent time with them, you know that they all kind of talk crap about each other, but then they work together anyway. Well, guys, I guess I'm going to give this show. I guess I'm just going to give it an A. I'll give it an A. I'm tempted to give it an A minus, but I think I'll be nice and give it an A. I think it was really a good show. It was you had some great. I mean, on any other show, one or two of these matches would win you over, but the quality of wrestling, the stories that were told, the pace of the show, it was all pretty fucking top notch. And believe it or not, I'm going to go way, way, way fucking old school and compare this show. Maybe because it was also a wintry season in a Midwest town. Chi-Town Rumble 89. If you go way, way back, you had Luger versus Barry Windham for the U.S. title. You had Flair versus Steamboat for the NWA World title. You had Rotundo and Steve Williams against the Road Warriors, I believe. You had the only kind of downer match on that show, I think, was Michael Hayes versus Russian Assassin #2. You had Butch Reed versus Sting. But the point is, if you guys go back in time and watch Chi-Town Rumble 89, you have a Midwestern city. Yeah, the Road Warriors street fight. And I think it was against Steve Williams and Kevin Sullivan, if I'm not mistaken. Chi-Town Rumble 89. But it was a Chicago night. It was a Monday night. And you know what I mean? C minus. No story build has really affected the product. I'm not sure. What are you talking about, Adam? You talking about AEW with this? I'm not sure what you mean, buddy. Are you talking about you say you didn't like the show tonight? You give it a C minus. One was against Doom, I believe. You know what you're thinking of? 802 Blues. God, you're in my fucking sweet spot, buddy. You're thinking of, I want to say, Wrestle War 89. No, I'm sorry, Wrestle War 90, Greensboro Coliseum. The Road Warriors had a street fight scheduled against the Skyscrapers on the undercard of what was supposed to be Sting versus Flair. We all know that Sting hurt his leg in the Clash of Champions 6 days earlier. So it became Sting versus Luger. On the undercard, you're supposed to have the Skyscrapers versus the Road Warriors in a Chicago street fight, or a street fight of some kind. And the Skyscrapers did not show up, or Danny Spivey did not show up. So Mark Callis actually tag teamed with Mark Enos under a mask that was called like the Skyscraper, just some crappy name that they threw on him. Like, I don't know, they just threw a mask on the guy and called him a Skyscraper. So it was like Mike Enos and Mark Callis, the future Undertaker, against the Road Warriors, and the match was fairly decent, surprisingly. And then the Road Warriors won, and then Doom came out, and they had like a second little fight between Doom and the Road Warriors, and that's how Teddy Long started to manage Doom. So that was all, I believe, at Wrestle War 1990. There's some people approaching me. So that was good. You've heard of the expression 12 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag. Well, there's a female over there that just had 12 pounds of ass and 10 pounds of shorts. So in any event, yeah, man. So I'm pretty good. Like that's my sweet spot. Like the NWA, Jim Crockett into early WCW. Like if you have thoughts on any of that stuff, I know a lot of shit. You can watch my Pro Wrestling Memories, 802 Blues, and everybody else. I did Super Clash 3, Crockett Cup 87, Bunkhouse Stampede 86, a lot of old school memories. I should do more of those videos while I still have my thoughts in my head. So anyway, yeah, but tonight, here's the other thing, guys. I had a moment of reflection tonight. You know, as I'm sitting in this aisle, yeah, mine too, buddy. That was definitely my favorite era. I was sitting in this aisle tonight, and these kids, you know, it's probably, 20-year-old something guys, were here at this wrestling show. And I'm basically kind of thinking about my own frailty or vulnerability. I'll be gone one day, and the show will go on. You know, and to me, it's kind of reassuring. It's like I'll be dead, and there'll still be people in the fucking movie theater watching a pro wrestling pay-per-view. Like this is gonna go on without me, without you, without some of these wrestlers. And in a way, you might say, "Oh, that's depressing or sad." No, to me, that's good. You know, like 30 or 40 years ago, my dad was going to watch closed circuit pay-per-view to watch Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier fight, which was a very novel thing to go watch a big boxing match and see the Thriller versus Manila or whatever at some local venue, and 4x3 and just watching a fight on a big screen. And here I am all these years later doing the same for a wrestling thing, and the Tyson Fury fight a few weeks ago, Tyson Fury Deontay. So it's kind of reassuring to know that we'll all be dead at some point, but these rituals that we engage in will continue. The communal experience of watching a fight, whether it's a legitimate, contest or whether it's pro wrestling, which is such a unique thing. I really do hate, guys, when people try to say that wrestling is acting, or when people, or even that fucking expression, it's a male soap opera. I hate that fucking shit. I just feel that wrestling is its own thing. Pro wrestling is its own fucking thing. You know what I mean? I think it's good too. My dad was a huge wrestling fan. My daughter and I now watch wrestling. Hopefully, she'll watch with her kids. Well said, buddy. Well said, 802. Violence. Chungus coming in with the hardcore. Chungus had a big comment on one of my other videos. I have to approve that for you, buddy, because I did read it. It's a good comment. And guys, I want you to check out this web series. Raven's in it. Yes, that Raven. Chris and the Coffee Girl, the Philadelphia Experiment. Episode 1 was just launched the other night. I didn't get a lot of views. I don't think a lot of people know it was out there, but it's on my playlist. Chris and the Coffee Girl, the Philadelphia Experiment. Me and Raven for a fucking hour. It's intense. And there'll be 3 more episodes coming. You're right, man. Violence does. Good comment, Chungus. I mean, we had this like nice fucking sentimental thing with his dad and his daughter and her kids, like 4 generations in a 2-sentence comment. And then Chungus comes in with violence sells. Nice contrast. Yeah, but it was a good night, guys. It was a good night to be a wrestling fan. And I think we all had a good time. And I think I'm just going to sign off now. So by all means, I appreciate everyone checking in. And if you could do me a favor and share these videos, because when somebody else shares the video, it has a lot more power than if I'm just sharing these things in 30 or 40 wrestling groups, which I do. But if someone else shares them, it's like you kind of advocate, hey, this was a good watch. I think this show picked up tonight, guys, to be honest, at the 40-minute mark when Crosby kicked in, because I was kind of so fucking hungry by the time I got to do this thing that I was kind of eating the food and everything. Try to mix the Mike's meals with the wrestling review. Maybe it didn't work as well as I thought. I was brainstorming some kind of wrestling league devoid of kayfabe, like MMA, but with pro wrestling rules in a wrestling ring, like a shoot match. Like, interesting. Was something like that done before, buddy. Like, I remember, like, on the Conrad podcast, he used to talk about something that was on, like, cable TV or something like that. I'm in a couple. Congratulations, man. That's great. I'm happy for you and whoever your partner is. That's awesome. Very good. Um, Oh, a shoot match league. I don't know if you mean you're in a couple, like a sexual couple or a relationship, in which case, congratulations, or if you mean you're in a couple of shoot match leagues. In either, Chungus, either way, congratulations. All right, folks. So Full Gear, I gave it an A. I'm glad we all had a good time. Thanks for checking in. I'll be doing more stuff in the next couple of days. I'm going to be hitting the road again. The movie that I'm in, it's not my movie, but it's a movie I'm in. Mr. Birthday is December 3rd. Worldwide streaming, MikeMessier.com. Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. Thanks a lot, guys. Full Gear 2021 is in the books. Oh, we got one more thing. In a couple of them, Facebook wrestling groups with you, like the Only Phenomenal Blaze. Yeah, I got you. The Only Phenomenal Wrestling Group, Wrestling Fans, Shane McKenna, Frank Tadaro's One Wrestling Nation, my buddy Jimmy Faluca. I should talk to him again soon. Pro Wrestling Collective, Mike Hahn, my number one fan. Mike Hahn's always in there. Chris Old, the Humane Media Discussion Group's a great group. No DQ is a great group, actually. God, who's the No DQ guy? Really cool guy who runs that No DQ and wrestling. What's it called? Wrestle Talk Fan Club is a cool Facebook group. I hear you, buddy. Pro Wrestling Enthusiasts, Maheen Media, Dirty Deeds. I'm not familiar. I'll go to that if it's an ACDC reference. I'm wearing my ACDC jacket. Aaron Rift, good one, Adam. Yeah, Aaron Rift's a good guy. I remember when Aaron Rift took a week off from fucking watching Raw like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. I felt like he should give me credit because I was leading Raw protests, and I think I was inspiring him. He went to a concert with his girlfriend instead of watching Raw. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot, man. Good night.